Hello! Shoyan here. I'm a carpenter based in Japan. The tatemae has finally arrived. It always rains, but it's finally sunny. I'm happy that we don't have to worry about the weather today. Now, I will start safely. First, we purify the building with salt, wash twice, and Japanese sake. Then we drink that sake called omiki to purify ourselves as well. It's a bit of a clumsy morning meeting, but we will work safely to avoid injury today. A little bad weather greeted us the day before tatemae. Usually, we open the packaging and align the timbers in a row with the tops facing up. By doing so, we can easily see where each piece of wood is located. However, since the weather was bad, we couldn't open the packages. So this time, we need to find and move the timber while building the house. Two days ago, we installed the lintel, header, and main columns that surround the building. So we will first install toshibashira and then join the lintels and headers. Every building has 4 toshibashiras, regardless of size. In the past, it was said that the more toshibashiras a building had, the stronger it was. But structural calculations showed that this wasn't the case. Since the results of structural calculations are the standard nowadays, only 4 toshibashiras are used normally, probably to keep costs down. Other framings can be installed in any order once the 4 toshibashiras are installed. Compared to modern houses, this building has a long, flat beams. 4-meter beams are common nowadays. If a 5-meter beam is needed for a house builder's project, many beams are made by joining 4-meter and 1-meter timber, instead of using a single 5-meter timber. This is because long timbers are difficult to transport and install. Honestly, it's better for the building to have a few joints as possible. This is a tatemae that I am supervising. However, as you can see in the video, I only appear a few times. I'm working on the ground while setting things up, so it's difficult to work on the higher parts of the building. When I supervise a tatemae, the house is built without my participation, thanks to the tradesmen. In the porch area, 3 logs with foundation stones that I attached in my workshop will be lined up. The porch area is quite large. There will be exposed pine timber and large flat beam. The bottom part of this flat beam will be exposed about 3 to 4 centimeters. Solid wood planks will be used on the ceiling, so I think the porch will be cabin style. This building doesn't use typical floor joists. We will install 24mm structural plywood directly on the second floor. It is designed for underlayment. Plywood acts as an angle brace, so angle braces are not needed. With this method of installation, it's necessary to check that the columns are completely vertical on the first floor before installing the plywood. If plywood is nailed on the second floor when building is not completely vertical, the first floor columns will no longer be vertical. Once the plywood is completely secured and trussed, the building will not move sideways. For this reason, me and one other person hurried to make sure it was vertical, even though I usually check it by myself. There was almost no misalignment this time. This means that the building was not forcefully built. It was erected vertically.
これは穴のとこやねんと決まんのけな。こっちに行くの逆やろ。右回して。今がとか？いや本当にかけるのに。もう一部行きたいね。もう一部？こんな悪いんけ？ちょっと待ってやってよ。ここに行き過ぎたわけ。これで打たなあかんでよ。戻るでよ。OK よ。OK。
Now we have confirmed that the building is vertical. We start installing the second floor. We draw a line around the center, and from there, we move the plywood and install them. Using 75mm end nails, we secure 24mm thick plywood, so it will be quite sturdy. The plywood is quite heavy and dangerous to move, but once installed, it will be a good scaffold. Now that we have a stable floor, we will move the second floor columns, lintels, and headers upstairs onto the floor. Then we install the columns, lintels, and headers, and cover the stairwell with plywood. We will install a loft floor on top of this, but the stairwell space is dangerous. I adjust the second floor columns to be completely vertical. Since we have already checked the first floor, the second floor's columns are almost vertical. I only need to adjust in one or two places. There is a loft in higher position on the second floor of the main building. We built a floor that is 11 square meters in size. It became easier to work around that area and to provide a place to store items when installing the roof. It is now much easier to construct the one side of the roof. Finally, the ridge beams will be installed. They have had omiki poured over them. We call it joto, which has a special meaning when building a house. The roof is still not in shape, but we install the ridge beam first.
やんこれ。
Now we will install the rafters for the roof. Screws are used nowadays. I use a screw called tower kick. This building has a wood stove. To prevent the area around the chimney from burning, we installed 12mm calcium silicate boards to enclose the area around the chimney. We will use special small hardware for this house. On each rafter, we install one at the top and one at the bottom. The old man looks like he's playing with a balancing toy, but he's not. It's often said that it's dangerous to hang timber with a single rope. However, for the parts that are installed according to the roof slope, such as barge boards, we hang them with a single rope. This prevents slipping and makes it much easier to install. We use screws to secure the barge boards from the back as usual, but the fascia boards are secured by nails this time. It is a 120mm stainless steel screw nail with a flat head. As nails are used, they are visible from the front. However, this time, there is a space for an air vent on the backside of the fascia board, unlike in the past houses. To make space for the air opening, a fascia board receiver is installed around the perimeter of the roof. This will stop airflow when all pieces are joined. That's why we secure the roof perimeter by directly nailing it in place. Now we install the roof sheathing. It is 12mm structural plywood. First, we cut the plywood in half and then install them at the eaves end. Then, after leaving a gap of 7 to 8 centimeters, we install the plywood again. Through this gap above the sheathings, air will flow up from the eaves end and escape through the ridge beam. No angle braces are used for the main roof, so the sheathing acts as a top chord of the truss structure. The hardware is attached to the rafters, and they are secured with 50mm thick end nail. Next, we install a waterproof sheet over the plywood. This waterproof sheet prevents water from penetrating through, just in case. After installing the waterproof sheet, we install 21mm thick furring strips above the rafter locations. Once installed, we install the outermost roof sheathing of 12mm thick cedar, which allows air to pass through, and the roof sheathing will be double layered. The first day of tatemae ends here. We managed to cover the main building roof on this day. We didn't work on the second day of the tatemae, but the wall builders installed a load-bearing wall called moist on the exterior wall. The first floor roof couldn't be built without load-bearing walls, so we skipped it for a day. The roof will take 3 days to complete. There was no rain on first day of tatemae, but at night it rains cats and dogs, so I rushed to the site. Today is the third day after the day off. It is another sunny and extremely hot day. I consider myself a man who brings rain, so I think this pleasant weather is not caused by me, but by one of the tradesmen on site. A word to describe this house would be sturdy. The entire house uses large timbers, and the first floor roof has a large square footage. It would be sturdier if there were first floor roof on 4 sides, but they are well balanced on 3 sides. The house is very unlikely to shake. An earthquake of seismic intensity 7 or higher can cause the house to shake, but it has a very sturdy structure. As a carpentry work, it's tricky and time-consuming to build a house with a wide area of first floor roof, but I think it will be a magnificent house. Now the tatemae is finished. Installation took 2 days, with 1 rest day. Though the roof on the first floor was big, I'm glad we finished it. Tradesmen, thank you so much! Next time, I will be working on the interior. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.